One of the Martin family attorneys, Jasmine Rand, joins us. Jasmine, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well this evening. We're still obviously disappointed at the outcome of not guilty. And I'd like to point out that not guilty does not necessarily mean that George Zimmerman was innocent, and we still maintain that position as his legal counsel and his family. I think, you know, the last couple of days has been disheartening for Tracy and Sabrina, but we have had an outcry of support from the nation and from the international community. We've had statements from President Obama, from Attorney General Eric Holder, so we are hopeful that we may still get some justice for Trayvon.
Let me ask you, say get justice for Trayvon. First of all, let me tell you, I think it's terrible when someone loses life. But here's the story, is that the prosecution picked that jury with the defense. The prosecution agreed to that jury with the defense. The jury heard all the evidence. The prosecution didn't get shut down from presenting any evidence, as far as I know. And the jury then decided the case, and everybody was happy with that jury. And then suddenly, after the jury renders its verdict, suddenly everyone's dissatisfied, or at least not everyone, but some are dissatisfied with the jury, as though they did a lousy job or heard a different trial or didn't listen to the case. What happened? You liked the jury in the beginning.
You know, our legal team has never said that we were happy with the jury or that we liked the jury. We never specifically endorsed the jury.
Well,
but
the prosecution most certainly did. The prosecution most certainly did. They helped pick it. They were right there in the courtroom. They were there every single day picking that jury.
I'm not the prosecution. I'm the family attorney. And from the family attorney's perspective, we never endorsed that jury. We respect their decision to the extent that is the standing law.
Are you saying it was a bad jury?
I do not believe that Trayvon got equal justice in this instance.
And specifically how? Tell me the evidence. Tell me the evidence that the jury didn't hear.
The evidence that the jury didn't hear?
Right.
I don't think that they properly considered the evidence. If they had listened to the evidence and if they had followed the law, then George Zimmerman would have been convicted of murder.
Well,
I mean, he got out of the car. He got out of the car with a loaded gun.
You're a lawyer, right?
Yes.
And the whole point of the jury is that we assign them job to weigh the facts. We draft them. We make them sit there. A lot of times they don't want to be there. We then present the evidence, and the judge then says, here's the evidence. Here's the law, instructs them of the law, and it's your duty. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's not anybody else in the community. But it's the jury's duty to weigh them. And all of a sudden, suddenly, afterwards, you say they can't do their job?
I have a greater duty beyond being an attorney, and that's to be a social engineer. And when the law doesn't get it right, I believe that we have the right to peacefully and morally, conscientiously object to the decision of the jury. That doesn't mean that we believe that it's going to be overturned or that it will, or that we don't respect the decision that those 6 people made. But there are millions of people out there who don't agree with that decision. So it's not just the legal team.
You know what the problem is, though?
You know, that's
disturbing.
That's deeply from all over the world.
That's deeply disturbing. They say millions are out there who didn't see it. You know, and I know that millions of people who may not like a verdict, whether it's for or against this case or another, didn't watch the case, didn't sit in the courtroom, didn't weigh the evidence, didn't listen to the jury instructions. That's just noise. That's why we have court systems, is so that both sides have an opportunity to be heard. This social engineering, I don't know if that's more like social manipulation than social, I don't know what social engineering is, but actually justice is presented in the courtroom with a jury deciding it and both sides having an opportunity. That's justice, and the jury deciding it.
Courtrooms do not always deliver justice, as I'm sure you well know. You're aware of the civil rights movement. You're aware of the changes that we've had to make throughout the court historically in this nation.
I bet if we put my career up next year in terms of civil rights and what we've done in the courtroom for poor people, I'll put my career up next year as any day you want, Jasmine. I just don't criticize juries. I don't criticize juries.
I haven't been practicing law as long as you have, but I would also like an opportunity to finish my answers and explain my answers to you.
Go ahead. You got to quick, and then I'll let you.
I think that when I'm talking about being a social engineer, George Zimmerman never would have been arrested if it wasn't the outcry from black people, brown people, white people, Republicans, Democrats, Christians, and Muslims in this nation who demanded his arrest. He was then arrested and he was tried by a jury of his peers. I do not believe that the jury got it right, and the federal government has every right to bring the claim. That's why we have federal preemption.
Jasmine, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry I gave you a hard time, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, what is Attorney General